Welcome to the Explainer. Right now, inside the very device you're using to watch this, there's an invisible high-speed traffic cop working tirelessly to keep everything running. Without it, well, our modern digital world would literally fry itself in a matter of seconds. Today, we're demystifying that tiny but mighty component, the diode. We're going to break down exactly how this microscopic one-way street of electronics actually works and why it is absolutely fundamental to everything from your everyday phone charger to the solar panels floating on satellites. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going on a macro journey today. First, we'll meet the diode and look at its anatomy. Then, we'll cover forward and reverse bias, learn how to read a VI curve, explore the whole diode family tree, and finally, see how they're powering our world. Part 1. Meet the diode, the ultimate electronic valve. To truly appreciate this little device, we have to understand that electricity is inherently kinda lazy. It naturally wants to flow wherever there's an open path. But if you want to build complex logic or protect delicate computer chips, you can't just have electricity sloshing back and forth uncontrollably. You need rigid control over the direction of that flow. And that brings us to our core definition. A diode is a semiconductor device that allows current to flow in one direction only. I really want you to anchor everything we talk about today on this one simple concept. It is a strict, uncompromising one-way street. It proudly allows forward current to pass through freely, but if that current tries to turn around and flow backward, the diode acts like a brick wall, completely blocking the reverse current. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the physical reality of the diode matches the schematic symbol that engineers actually draw. Look at the physical diode, that tiny black cylinder up top. The silver band painted on the right represents the cathode, and it points out the allowed direction of current flow. Now look directly below it at the electronic symbol. That vertical line at the tip of the triangle perfectly mimics the silver band. The triangle points the way the electrical traffic is allowed to travel, and that vertical line visually says, stop, no going back. Moving to part 2, anatomy of a diode, the P-N junction. Let's zoom in on the microscopic building blocks. So how does a solid object physically enforce a one-way traffic rule without any moving parts? Well, at its core, a diode is created by taking extrinsic semiconductor materials, like silicon that's been specially treated to carry specific charges, and joining them together. Specifically, you take a block of P-type material filled with a positive charge carrier majority, and an N-type material filled with a negative charge carrier majority. When you fuse these two distinct blocks together, you form what we call a P-N junction right down the middle. This invisible border is where all the magic happens. And because we have two different materials, we naturally have two distinct terminals for hooking up our wires. We call the terminal connected to the P-type side the anode. That's the positive terminal. The terminal connected to the N-type side is called the cathode, the negative terminal. Remembering which is absolutely crucial for getting the diode to actually do its job. Part 3. Forward and reverse bias, controlling the traffic. So what actually happens when we hook this P-N junction up to a battery? A diode operates in two main conditions. The first is forward bias. This happens when you connect the battery's positive terminal to our P-side anode and the negative terminal to our N-side cathode. When you do this, current flows smoothly and freely. But if you flip that battery around, connecting the positive to the N side and the negative to the P side, you enter reverse bias. In this state, the current is blocked entirely, not a drop gets through. But why? Let's look at the atomic level during reverse bias. Check out the massive empty gap right in the center. That is called the depletion region. Because we've connected the positive battery terminal to the N-type side and the negative terminal to the P-type side, the opposite charges attract. The negative ions get pulled to the left and the positive ions get pulled to the right. This literally pulls the charge carriers away from the center junction, widening that depletion region into a massive physical roadblock. It's basically a giant ditch in the middle of our highway, and the electrical traffic is completely stopped in its track. Let's move to part 4 and see how this builds into the VI curve, the visual footprint. This is how engineers actually chart this performance on a graph. Engineers need a reliable way to predict how a specific diode will behave in a circuit. So they plot a VI characteristic curve. Notice the bright orange lines on this graph. On the horizontal axis, we have voltage, and on the vertical axis, we have current. In the top right quadrant, that's the forward bias region, the orange line shoots straight upwards. That means current is flowing freely. But in the bottom left quadrant, the reverse bias region, the orange line stays completely flat along the zero current line. The door is firmly shut. So the crucial takeaway here is that this graph brilliantly captures the entire personality of the diode. It shows the strict relationship between the voltage you apply and the current that's allowed to pass. But real diodes aren't perfectly ideal. In reality, that forward current doesn't just start instantly. It only increases rapidly after hitting a very specific threshold voltage. Basically, it needs a little push to get the gates open. And different semiconductor materials require a different amount of push. For a diode made of germanium, you have to hit a forward voltage of about 300 millivolts before the electrical traffic starts flowing. But for silicon, which is the most common material used today, that threshold is a bit higher, around 690 millivolts. But once you hit that magic number, the resistance drops and the electricity flows rapidly. Part 5, the diode family tree, variations on a theme. Let's zoom back out from those microscopic graphs for a second. Engineers are endlessly creative, and over the decades, they've taken this core PN junction concept and bred a massive, diverse family of specialized devices. While your standard PN junction diode handles the basic rectification and switching, there are tons of highly specialized types. You have Schottky diodes for incredibly fast switching, tunnel diodes for microwave frequencies, and varactor diodes that actually act like adjustable capacitors. Each one gets a slightly modified symbol to announce exactly what special power it holds. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the cleverest members of the family, the Zener diode. Remember how we said diodes block reverse current? Well, the Zener diode is uniquely designed to operate in reverse. In that reverse breakdown region, once it hits a very specific reverse voltage, called the Zener voltage, it suddenly allows current to flow backward without destroying itself. This makes it absolutely perfect for voltage regulation and protecting your sensitive electronics from sudden power spikes. Of course, the most recognizable sibling in the family is the light-emitting diode, or LED. You see this one everywhere. By using specific semiconductor materials, this diode doesn't just pass current, it actually releases the extra energy as visible light. From tiny indicator lights on your TV to giant stadium display boards, the LED has completely revolutionized modern lighting. But wait, if an LED turns electricity into light, could we do the exact reverse? Absolutely. That's the photodiode. Instead of emitting light, the photodiode detects it. When light hits it, it converts that light energy directly into an electrical signal. This is the exact technology powering solar cells and those automatic streetlights that magically know when the sun has gone down. And finally, Part 6, powering our world, diodes in action. Let's talk about why this matters directly to you. The reality is, you cannot get through a single day without interacting with thousands of diodes. When you plug your mobile charger or laptop adapter into the wall, diodes are acting as rectifiers, converting that chaotic AC wall power into the smooth, steady DC power your battery desperately needs. They're regulating voltage, they're rapidly switching signals, and of course they are literally lighting your home with LED bulbs and capturing clean energy with solar panels. They make our modern conveniences possible. Because they are incredibly small, astonishingly cheap, insanely fast, and consume almost no power, diodes are fundamental to VLSI, very large-scale integration. Engineers can pack them in unimaginable numbers. There are likely billions of microscopic diodes functioning on the single silicon chip inside your phone right now, forming the foundational protection and logic circuits of every modern computer on the planet. It is pretty staggering to think about, with millions, if not billions, of diodes quietly and reliably directing the flow of power and data inside the very device you're holding right now. What would our modern world look like without this invisible one-way street? We'd quite literally be left in the dark. Next time you plug your phone in or see an LED flash, take a second to appreciate the brilliant microscopic traffic cop making it all possible. Thanks so much for learning with us today.